Hey everybody, welcome back to James Draws Everything. This is James, continuing today, drawing every country in the world's flag, and pretty excited about this one because this place is it's a little weird, right? And I like weird. So we're going to be doing another Baltic country. This is our first time back in the Baltics since Estonia. It's been a while, and we're going to be doing the southernmost Baltic country of Lithuania. Right, and a good little way to remember which countries are which out of those three. They go from north to south in alphabetical order, right? So you got Estonia, the northernmost, then Latvia, then Lithuania. All right, so Lithuania is the southernmost Baltic state. I got to be careful not to say Balkan. I always make that mistake. And it's got a real weird history, kind of a freaky place. So we'll get into all of that because the flag is pretty simple, so that won't take us too long here. So they were like one of the last areas to be Christianized, right? By like those Romans, sort of explorations into northern Europe and like Germanic and Teutonic peoples, Scandinavians, all sorts, whatever you want to call them. So because they were kind of like the last ones, a lot of this country's heritage is Christian and pagan, right? So they pay a lot of respect to both. They still have a lot of pagan superstitions that are just kind of like accepted parts of like just day-to-day culture. So yeah, it's interesting. So these lands, what becomes Lithuania, they're united under a king, Mindaugas. I hope I'm saying that right. In 1236, and Mindaugas was baptized as a Roman Catholic, but most of the country was still pagan, right? So a lot of Europe had already been Christianized by that point. Lithuania, a little bit behind the ball there. And just their geographic location kind of puts them in a rough spot because they're kind of right up there with the Poles, Prussia, Russia, and then they have their other neighbors to the north, kind of like the gateway between Europe and then the east. So that plays into their history quite a bit. Over the next couple of centuries, this guy Mindaugas, he's kind of considered like the father of Lithuania. So he's kind of created with creating the Lithuanian state, the identity, and they start expanding territory like during this period. A lot of alliances and conquests, including a lot of what's now Ukraine and Belarus. And by the end of the 14th century, Lithuania was actually the largest state in Europe. And they form an alliance with Poland in 1386, and that leads to the Commonwealth of Poland and Lithuania. So this is actually the largest state in Europe at that time, wields a lot of power, and a big reason for them kind of teaming up there is to kind of ward off potential Russian invasions, right? So you got the Muscovites, the Russians, not too far away. So, right, just kind of playing it safe, keeping your neighbors at bay. And Mindaugas, right, he was actually the only king of Lithuania. So everybody else was what they call a Grand Duke. So there were kings that ruled Lithuania, but they were all Polish, right, through the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. And that's kind of probably won't get a chance to talk about this again because we already did Poland. But yeah, that's a pretty cool state to study, right? They had a lot of internal autonomy, but like those two were, kind of united on larger, defense affairs and things like that. So pretty neat place. The Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, though, they do start kind of forming some cracks. So like the late 18th century, they get partitioned. So there's a lot of wars. Like there's a northern war with like the Swedish Empire. There's some wars with the Russians. So they get pretty much divvied up between Prussia, which is later part of Germany, Russia, and as well as Austria, right? So, and that's kind of a cool story because Poland's partition there in Lithuania kind of distracts Austria from potentially putting down the French Revolution before it really kicks off, because they had more important things to do that day. They had this partition business to take care of. So kind of a great what if in history, right? Where that actually happens quite a bit, where something completely unrelated takes a country's attention, and that alters the course of history. So the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth is no more, right? So these states are much, much smaller now. They gain independence, right? Lithuania as an independent state after World War I. But again, that's a horrible time to gain independence if you're next door to Russia, because the Soviet Union is forming at that point in time, and they just gobble up all their neighbors and make them into Soviet socialist republics. So Lithuania, unfortunately, does fall under communist rule, but they hold on a little bit. So the USSR doesn't formally annex this land until 1940, and then that's never actually recognized by the United States. And so this is pre World War II, right? So when everybody says that, like, the Germans were, the ones that started World War II and all that stuff, well, believe it or not, like some of the Soviet Union's moves prior to because Germany took they were marching in on Poland, they took the Sudetenland, but the real front page story, in like 1939, was when the Soviets invaded Finland, right? And then they started coming after like the other countries in that area, the Baltic countries. So that actually got them kicked out of the League of Nations too. So a little interesting side note. So Lithuania is actually the first of the Soviet republics to declare its independence in 1990, but the Moscow government doesn't formally recognize that until the following year. And ever since then, it's been a very, very strong independent state, very strong ethnic identity, and the place works, right? They got rid of communism. They have a very high score, like on like human development indexes, GDP per capita, right? There's a lot of industry, a lot of technology there. So it's definitely one of the the richer countries in Europe, and they're fully integrated into like NATO and the EU, and yeah, so that's pretty much Lithuania. A lot of really tall people there too, for some reason. Like a lot of basketball players come from Lithuania. I guess it has like one of the largest like per capita like heights in all the world, and their language too, because they weren't completely Christianized until so much later than the rest of Europe. The Lithuanian language is actually it's a little bit different than so just if you if you understand a lot of Latin languages, you can pretty much get by with like French, Spanish, Italian, right? There's a lot of overlap. Lithuanian's a little unique, so just if you're Polish or something, or Russian, it's not that easy of a transition to understand Lithuanian. So let's see here. Just close off our flag, and I think we're going to do a little bonus content, because this country, again, it's kind of a spooky, eerie, old pagan kind of place. Lithuania. But before we do that, we're just going to get to the flag, and oh crap, that looks like another Pan-African flag. Did I do the wrong flag? Hold on a second here. I swear to God, I'm going to fire my research assistant. I've already gone through like 10 of those guys on this channel. They sent me the wrong flag, didn't they? Or, wait a minute. No, okay, no. My research assistant is spared. This is the flag of Lithuania. So let me guess. This represents, because I know that these are the colors of the Ethiopian flag. So I'm guessing at some point Lithuania had an African empire. Wait, no, they didn't. Hold on. All right. So is this just a coincidence? Yeah, I guess it is. All right. So we've seen this before. So let's get this out of the way. The yellow symbolizes the golden fields, as well as the sun and the light and the goodness. The green is the forest of the countryside, and this country does have a lot of forests. A lot of it's kind of wet marshland forests, stuff like that. Very cool nature place. And then the red is the courage and the blood. You know what the red is. So, yeah, Lithuania, just what a coincidence. It looks like an African flag. But something I want to draw, right, because that was easy. Again, this country has a very rich pagan and Christian heritage, and it has some, because of that, it's got some really weird kind of landmarks in the country. So they have what's called the Hill of Crosses, right? And you think, oh, crosses, that's nice, right? And actually, it doesn't really look that nice. I mean, it looks cool, don't get me wrong, but think of like trying to think of a good example here. I know. If you ever see like those antique baby like dolls, right? You know, they're supposed to be cute little toys, but you know, after 100 years, like the material they're made out of like starts to crack, and they get like these weird looking like eyes, and they're very eerie, right? I always get freaked out when I see those things. So this is kind of like that, right? So they're crosses, but they're in this kind of soggy, like kind of like marshland, like sort of hill, and they're all made out of like jagged metal. And there's kind of no rhyme or reason to like where they are, right? It's not like the name is escaping me, but what's that the World War One cemetery in France, where that's like a beautiful like place, right, where all the white crosses are like literally like perfectly like painstakingly aligned, thousands of them. This is kind of like scattershot like all over the place, so it is a little eerie looking. And because they're not like the kind of crosses you'd see like when you go to church or something, these are just like pieces of metal, like some of them are rusted, and it's just very eerie and interesting. And so they got a hill of crosses, right? So that represents, the Christianity. But then you also got a hill of witches. Like, what? They got witches there? No, hold on. I'm not done explaining it. They have a hill with, it's got like, there's like a forest on this hill. And in that forest, like almost all of the trees are carved into the shape of like demons and witches and stuff like that. So that's actually kind of what I'm trying to draw right now. And that looks freaking awesome. Like, I would love to visit that place. So we're gonna draw one of them spooky witch trees right now. See, Lithuania is just one of those countries where they held on to that pagan heritage. Christianized so much later than the rest of Europe, but they got a little bit of both there. So I think that's cool. Guess like Lithuanians too. I mentioned like being having a lot of superstitions right before. So you hand something to a Lithuanian, right? Like if it's like a knife or like scissors or something like that, you put it down first, right? You don't just give it to them. Maybe that's a good safety tip. Maybe that has nothing to do with with paganism or anything like that. But and then also, if you forget something, I guess you got to go back in the house to get it, which I always do when I forget my keys or something, or my wallet, or my phone, right? Phone, wallet, keys, the three essentials. You got to look in the mirror before you go back outside, right? So that's another Lithuanian superstition. So if you know any Lithuanian superstitions, I'd like to hear about them. Put them in the comments. Yeah, and I'd like to go, definitely like to go visit this place, because I wonder if they let you visit it at night too, because that'd be pretty freaky. Yeah, and this is just a tree, so the people that did this are pretty talented, right? You gotta, of course, this being an art channel, we respect artistic talent. Woodworking is something that's always interested me, but never really pursued it or looked into it. I would like to. And let's just get some wood grains in there. But yeah, check this place out sometime. Look it up, because yeah, this is just one of them, right? And there's like thousands of these things in there, and they're all unique. They're all really freaky like this. So. Okay. Yeah, and just because so like the land where this is, like the whole country basically Lithuania, you know, kind of being right before Scandinavia there, right, that Baltic region, it was carved out by glaciers, much kind of more recently than, you know, like a lot of surrounding areas. So the land gets very wet, right? It does have hills and stuff, but well, obviously hills. It's got the Hill of Crosses and the Hill of Witches. But yeah, it's a lot of like the elevations and stuff are pretty susceptible to you know, to flooding and things like that. So it's kind of a damp, dark place, dark and dreary, right? It only fits in with the pagan stuff, right? So. Alright, and I'm just gotta go real deep on those eyeshadows, because they carved this dude's brow. Like, yeah, this reminds me of like video games or something, right? I played as a kid, where you had to go into this was like some spooky level where the trees come out and attack you or something. So you gotta be extra weary. I definitely probably had a whole bunch of different games that were like this when I was a kid. So that's what that reminds me of. Alright, and then we'll just kind of go over him with a black. Just get all our outlines and stuff in there. No, excuse me. And it's got like these little, I don't know if they're goblins or gargoyles, something like that, like kind of just sitting above his head here, kind of just peeking out. So I'd actually like to go work here, right? If I could learn James Draws Everything, could be James Carves Everything, right? I'm sure they're probably always adding to this, right? It's got to be a pretty neat tourist attraction, whatever. Guys, give me a call, all right, or email James Draws Everything at gmail.com, and we'll be in touch, Lithuania, because I'd like to add some creepy stuff to this. Put that on my resume, right? But you got to teach me woodworking first. I'm a quick learner, though. I'm an autodidact. I'll learn. I just need a little help. Maybe an apprenticeship. Okay, so yeah, so and we'll just do like you know, it's got like trees and stuff in the background. It's very, very damp and creepy. Just Put in some shadows and stuff behind them. And just dust it off a little bit with some moss and some greenery. Right? The green in the flag, right, stands for all that natural forestry and wealth. And then just throw a little dirt to cover the evidence from those ancient pagan sacrifices, presumably. All right, everybody. So that is Lithuania, and I'm just seeing something I want to do too before I'm done. Maybe a fatter. Yeah, so that is Lithuania. This is the Hill of Witches, right? We already did the gateway to hell, right, for Turkmenistan. Now we got a Hill of Witches. Do we have anything else like this lined up for our remaining countries? I don't know, but I'm getting a pretty cool vacation itinerary plan for Halloween maybe in a couple years. We'll see. So that's Lithuania, Hill of Witches. Let me know what you think. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you on the next video.